Okay, hello and welcome to this session of Jugaad DILR, and this is session number 7. And let's get started with this one. Before I start the data set, before I look at the data set, a very quick look at the CAT paper. CAT 25 paper had 3 sections of 40 minutes each. The first section was verbal ability and reading comprehension, which had 24 questions. The second section was DILR with 22 questions. And the third section was quantitative aptitude with 22 questions. And today we'll be looking at, as usual, we'll be looking at the second section, which is DILR section. Okay. And very, very briefly, what is important in DILR is to understand that typically if you get 50% marks, you have done a very good job of the paper. Now, what are 50% marks equal to? Now, if you look at CAT papers from 2020 to 24, the number of questions varied from as low as 20 questions to as high as 24 questions. Since CAT has got has a marking scheme of +3 for correct answer and -1 for wrong answer, this meant the maximum possible marks are here. Now look at the 50% benchmark for each of the years. Okay, so what will be 50% for the CAT 2020? 72 mark papers, 50% is 36 marks. So at 36 marks, you would be just above 99 percentile, maybe about 99.1 or 2. In CAT 2020, 50% will be 30 marks. At 30 marks would be somewhere here, maybe about 97 percentile. Similarly, if you look at CAT 22, at 30 marks, you would be above 99 percentile. Okay? So please look at these numbers and see where you would stand at 50% marks. CAT 23, again, 30 marks would be, it will be close to 99.3 percentile also. And when you look at CAT 66, at 50% is 33 marks. At 33 marks, you would be somewhere here, maybe about 97.5 percentile. So typically what we need to remember that 50% marks converts to anything from 97 to 99.5 percentile in CAT. And which means if you can attempt 50 to 60% of the paper, you have done a terrific job of the paper, and that is where Jugaad is important. What Jugaad does, it allows you to do the same set in a shorter span of time. It reduces errors, and because you are able to do the set in a shorter span of time, you are able to save time and do one extra set. So Jugaad ensures you will end up doing one extra set in the paper. Okay. Now, what is Jugaad? We have talked about this earlier. I'll just repeat what we have discussed earlier. It is a problem-solving approach. Okay. It is not some shortcut or some tip or technique. It is a problem-solving approach. It is a very logical way of doing the data set. Okay. What is important is to understand in Jugaad we use all available information. And when we say all available information in the data set, information in the graph or the table, information in the questions, information in the choices. Typically, this question and the choices are ignored by most of the students, and that is why you take more time to solve. Secondly, the focus of Jugaad is on solving questions. We are interested in solving the question. Unfortunately, we find many times students are interested only in filling up the table. The starting point for most students is read the data. The way most students will work, will do the data sets are, you read the data, okay, tabulate or make the table, then look at the questions and answer them. Okay. So typically your focus is here, and questions and the answer choices come very, very late in the day. This is a very stupid approach because questions and answer choices have information which you need to pick up. So what is the right approach of doing DILR? It is DILR itself. D for decipher, I for identify, L for layout, R for resolve. Let me explain. Now when you look at the basic data which is given, your job is to decipher, to understand the data. If you don't understand the data, if you are unable to decipher the data, then obviously you cannot do anything about it and you should be leaving it. Once you understand the way the data is given, whether it is the case or the paragraph or the graph or the table or all of them combined, you understand that next step is you identify the information in the questions. Okay? This is a step most people miss. Okay? So your job is to identify the information in the question because each question has information, and it is your job to pick out the information and use it. Once you have deciphered the information, you have identified what is the data or what is it that you need to do in the question, what is the information given the question, You tabulate the data. You look at the layouting, which means you tabulate the data. It could be a graph. It could be you could making a table. You could be tabulating this data in some form or the other, and then you look at solving the questions. So resolving or solving is the last step, but it is a process which is an interplay between the question and the tabulation. So these go hand in hand. It is not that first I'll tabulate, then I'll go to question. No, I will tabulate, I'll go to questions, I'll do a back and forth between these to be able to get to the answers faster. Okay. Now, I don't know if you have downloaded the exercise, but the exercise is given in OpenCAT. So if you are interested in the sessions, you can scan this QR code. Once you scan the QR code, you will go to OpenCAT program, and the OpenCAT program under the GPK Jugaad, you will find these sessions. These are the sessions which have already happened. For each of these sessions, you will find the PDF of the session so that you can solve it yourself and the solution or the way I have solved. Now, if you have missed the earlier session, my session is download the PDF, solve it yourself first, and then come back and look at the video solution to see how you should have solved it, so that you are also able to pick the right or to find or you're able to get the right way to attempt. Okay. In addition to this, what OpenCAT gives you lots of free stuff. You can virtually prepare for free for CAT if you go to OpenCAT. It has got study material, it has got full-length papers, Jugaad solutions, expert guidance, and yes, the final study material along with concept building sessions. Okay. And yes, all my Jugaad sessions are available on OpenCAT program. Okay. So now let's look at this particular data set from CAT 2017 for 2. Okay. Let's go to the data first. Let's read and understand. Okay. Let's do the deciphering first. Okay. So there were 7 elective courses, E1 to E7, running in a specific term of a college. So 7 electives, E1 to E7, running in a college. Each of the 300 students, so there are 300 students in the college. Each of the 300 students enrolled had chosen just one elective. So each of the 300 students had to choose one elective from these 7. However, before the start of the term, E7 was withdrawn as the instructor concerned had left the college. Okay. So E7 was withdrawn is the critical thing. Why it is withdrawn, it does not really matter. Okay. The students who had opted for E7 were allowed to join any of the remaining electives. Also, the students who had chosen other electives were given one chance to change their choice. Okay. So those who are from E7 were allowed to change any of the E1 to E6. Not only that, all the other students were told that if you want, you can change your elective now. Okay. So all students were allowed to change their electives effectively. The table below captures the movement of the students from one elective to another during the process. Movement from one elective to the same elective simply means no movement. Some of the numbers in the table got accidentally erased. Okay, so some of the numbers got accidentally erased. How it is known, these were either 0 or 1. So if you look at this table, it has got missing data. And what we know is each of these missing data is either 0 or 1. Okay. Now, let us try to understand the data. What is it? It says from elective to elective. Okay. Now, if I look at E1 to E7, and finally we have E1 to E6 because E7 has been withdrawn. So what does this mean? This is the final situation. So which means the sum of the column is the final. So finally, how many students are in electives E6? All these. How many students are in electives E5? All these. So the final situation is the addition of the column. What was the initial situation? It was addition of the sum. Because why? E7 is there. E7 was initially there. Once E7 is removed, all the students were asked to move to one of the other electives, whichever they wanted to. So the sum of the rows. So if I say row sum is the original situation. Okay. This is a situation in which E7 was there. And what is the column sum? The sum of the column is the final situation or final number of students in each elective. Okay. Because if you look at this column does not have E7, the column has only E1 to E6. So this is my final situation. Okay. And how many students are there? There are 300 students. So I can say the sum of all the numbers, sum of each of the, all the rows and all the columns has to be, sum of all rows is 300, sum of all columns have to be 300 because each of the 300 students have to has to choose one of the electives. Okay. So we understand this data set now. Okay. And let's look at the the information given below. There are another 3 pieces of information. We can always come back and look at them later. And if you look at the questions are how many elective courses among E1 to E6 had a decrease in. So once we have deciphered, I'm looking at the identification part, identify the information from the questions. Okay, had a decrease. How many elective courses had a decrease in the enrollment after the change process? So the sum is the before the change process, column is the after the change process. Okay, so we need to solve the table because we want to find how many had a change or how many had a reduction. Okay. Question 2, after the change process. After the change process means we are talking about the column sum of the columns. Which of the following is the correct sequence of number of students in the 6 electives from E1 to E6? Now, this is a great question to have because this question is effectively telling me the numbers. So it is telling me the column sum. Sum of each of the column is what it is telling me effectively. Okay? It is effectively telling me, So what does it tell me? It tells me E1 is sum is going to be either 18 or 19. E2 the sum will be 76. E3 the final sum is going to be either 78 or 79. E4 sum will be either 21 or 22 or 23. Similarly for the others. Which means if I can find a couple of sums of the columns, I should be able to eliminate choices. So this particular question will help me in elimination of choices. Okay. Question number 4. Question 3, sorry. After the change process, which course among E1 to E6 had the largest change in enrollments as a percentage? This, after I do question 2, I can look at doing question 3 also. Question 4, later the college imposed that if after a change of elective, the enrollment in any electives other than E7 dropped to less than 20 students, all the students who left that course will be required to re-enroll. Okay, so new situation is given. But what this means is I need to first solve question number 2. Based on that, I can solve question 1 and 3. And then I can look at the new situation of question number 4. So that is my understanding. So I have deciphered, I have identified. Okay. Now let's come to the solution. Now we need to solve. But before we solve, okay, let us look at the regular solution. What is the regular solution going to be? Because only when you look at the regular solution will you be able to appreciate the Jugaad solution. So first thing we know is that how many students are there? 300 students. Yeah, there are total of 300 students. So if there are total of 300 students, I can say the sum of, okay, this should be 300. E1 to E6 columns or E1 to E7 row, either way have to be added up to 300. Okay. First statement. Before the change process, there were 6 more students in E1 than in E4. 6 more students in E1. E1, can I find the number of students originally who were there? Yes, I can, because all the numbers are there. So 9, 5, 14, 14 and 11, 25, 29, 31. So E1 originally there are 31 students. What does it say? Before the change process, there were 6 more students in E1 than in E4. So E4 should be 25. But after the reshuffle, the number of students in E4 was 3 more than E1. 3 more than E1. So E4, if E1 is X, E4 will be X plus 3. Okay. X plus 3. The number of students in E4 was 3 more than E1. Okay. Next, the number of students in E2 increased by 30 after the change process. Increased by 30 after the change process in E2. So let me check out how many are there in E2. 5 plus 34, 39 and 6, 39 and 6, 45. 45 and 3, 48. 48 and 7 makes it 55. 60, 76. So this is 76. What does the question statement say? The number of students in E2 increased by 30 after the change process. So 76 is an increase of 30. So earlier it should have been 46. Okay. Statement C. Before the change process, E4 had 2 more students than E6. E4 had 2 more students than E6. That means E6 should be 23 because E4 was originally 25 and E4 has to be 2 more than E6. So E6 has to be 23. while E2 had 10 more than E3. E2 is 46. This is 10 more than E3. So E3 should be 36. Okay. So this is the situation we have. Now, what is our job? Our job is to start filling up these cells. And remember, each of these empty cell is either 0 or 1. So let's look at them. Okay. 34 and 8, 8 plus 2, 10 plus 2, 12. 2, 2, 4 and 12, 46. So if we add these 34 plus 8 plus 2 plus 2, it is 46. That means this has to be 0, this has to be 0. Both have to be 0. Similarly, when we look at E3, 25, 6, 31, 33, 34, 35. That means out of these two, one of them is 0, one of them, this is 0, E4 is 0, E5 is 1, or if E4 is 1, E5 is 0. So what this is telling you is now you need to start making cases. Okay. Now you need to start making cases out here. Similarly, if you look at E4, 14 plus 4, 18, 19, 20, 23. What does that mean? The total is 25. That means both these blanks will have to be 1 each. Okay. So we'll have to start filling up the table in this manner. And yes, some places cases will be made and we'll have to work with the cases. Okay. Similarly, if I look at 23, 9, 10, 11, 11 and 10, 21, 22, 23. Now we know this situation is here. So now you start making cases and see how does it work out. Okay. So this will mean making cases and hence it is going to take a longer time to solve. But if I am not doing this, अगर मेरे को जुगाड़ करना तो मैं क्या करूंगा? I will keep in mind question number 2. Okay, I will keep in mind question number 2. I'll do the same thing. The question said there initially 300 students in all. So let me write 300 here. Now I can clearly see E1 total 9 plus 5, 14, 14 and 25, 29, 31. Similarly, if I look at E2, I look at this E2. I don't need to do that addition. E2 finally is 76. So even without doing anything, I can write down as 76. Why should I waste my time adding these numbers when question number 2 is clearly telling me E2 is 76? Okay. Anything else I can say clearly? No, I can't. So let me look at the information given now. Okay. Before the change process, there were 6 more students in E1 than in E4. E1 is 31, so E4 should be 25 because E1 is 6 more than E1. Okay. But after the reshuffle, number of students in E4 was 3 more than E1. Oh, so this is X. This will be X plus 3. Now that also means look at question number 2. E1, if it is 19, E4 should be 22. Choice 1 is wrong because it is 19 and 21. When E1 and E4 should be with 19, you should have a 22. Choice 2 is fine. 19 and 22. 18 and 23, choice 3 is wrong because if you look at these, let me just use the highlighter here. Yeah. So 19 plus 3, 22 wrong. 19 plus 3, 22 is correct. 18 plus 3 should be 21. We have 23, so choice 3 is wrong. 18 plus 3, 21. Okay. So what this is effectively telling me is that either choice 2 or choice 4 is the right answer. Let me write that down. Why should I worry about anything else? So what is choice 4? 18, 76. 18 is already there. 76 is already there. 79, 21. 21. 45, 61. Or the other option will be 19, 76, 78. 1976 is okay. 78. 22, 45. And 60. Now effectively this is telling me E5 has to be 45. Let me just check. 4 to 6. 6 and 30, 36. 36 and 2, 38 and 5, 43. This is coming out to be 43, but we know the total has to be 45, so I will fill up this. Okay. So by reading question number, the first statement itself, I have been able to jot down so much of data and I've even been able to fill up the E5 column completely. Okay, so statement 1 is taken care of. Let's look at statement 2. The number of students in E2 increased by 30 after the change process. After the change process, E2 is 76. That means before the change process, E2 should be 46. 76 minus 30. Statement 3. Before the change process, E4 had 2 more students than E6. E4 had 2 more students than E6, so E6 should be 23. While E2 had 10 more than E3. So E2 has 10 more than E3, so E3 should be 36. So let's fill it up. 6 and 2, 8, 8 and 25, 33, 34, 35, 36. This is 0. Remember in the previous statement, this was a gray area for us. So regular solution में cases बनाने पड़ते हैं. But if you look at the choices as we go along, you will be able to save time. Okay. Now let's look at E3. 10, 8, 18, 20, 45, 45 and 30, 75, 78. So this can, if this is 0, it will be 78. If this is 1, it will be 79. So it's not going to help us. Okay. Let me look at E2. 34, 2 to 4, 12, 46. So 0, 0. E4, 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 24. The total has to be 25. So this should be 1. Okay. Similarly, let me look at E6, 9, 10, 11. 11 and 10, 21. The total has to be 23. So both of these have to be 1. And what about E1? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 4, 17. Now what is the value which is possible for E5? I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you look at what is the value which is possible, it can be either 0 or 1. So this total is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17. If this is 0, the total will be 17. If this is 1, the total will be 18. So 19 is not possible. Okay. I don't know what has happened. Okay. So it seems, okay. So effectively, what does this mean? If the E5, E1, this particular cell is 0, then the total will be 17. The cell is 1, then the total will be 18. 19 is not possible. That means I have got the answer. This is wrong. That means this is going to be 1. So what is my answer? It is 18, 76, 79, 21, 45, 61. Okay. So, and let's see what do we have further. Okay. So this is 79. So 10, 8, 18, 20, 45, 45 and 30, 75, 78. So this should be 179. Similarly, the total is 21 for E4. 14 and 1, 15, 16 and 5, 21. This is going to be 0. Similarly, 41, 9, 50, 54, 56, 58, 60, 61. We have completed everything. And please see the amount of time we have saved by using question number 2. And what is the total going to be for E5? 5, 6, 7, 8, 38. Okay. Now, question number 1. How many courses from E1 to E6 had a decrease in enrollments after the change process? So E1 went from, E1 was 31, it has come down to 18. So E1 has a reduction or decrease. E2 from 46 to 76 increase. E3 from 36 to 79 increase. E4 from 25 to 21. So E1 has decreased, E4 has decreased. 38, E5, 38 to 45 increase. E6, 23 to 61 increase. That means only 2 of them have reduced. Okay. Question 3. After the change process, which course among E1 to E6 had the largest change in enrollment as a percentage of its original enrollment? And I'm interested only in E1, E2, E3 and E6. E1 has gone down from 31 to 18. E2 has gone up from 46 to 76. E3 has gone up from 36 to 79. And E6 has gone up from 23 to 61. Which has the highest percentage change? From 31 to 18, it is about 1/3 reduction. 31 to 18, what does it mean? Reduction of 13 on 31. So maybe about 1/3, 40% at best. Yeah, something around 40% reduction. Okay. So this is E1 is a reduction of about 40% or a change of about 40%. We are looking for the largest change. So E1 is about 40%. What about E2? 46 to 76. It is an increase of 30. E2 is an increase of 30 on 46. Can I say 30 by 45 would have been 2/3 of 66%. So 30 by 46 will be about 65% approximately. So we are looking for largest change, so E1 is wrong. What about E3? 36 to 79. 36 to 79, that means an increase of 73, 43. It is an increase of 43 on 36. Okay, more than 100% increase. Okay, so it is greater than 100%. And E6, 23 to 61. So what is the increase going to be? 61 minus 3, 58 minus 20, 48. The increase is 48 upon 23. Which is a bigger percentage change? Obviously, 48 by 23 will be bigger than this one. Correct answer, choice 4. Okay. Last question. Later, the college imposed a condition that if after the change of electives, the enrollment in any elective other than E7 dropped to less than 20 students, all students who left the course will be required to re-enroll in that elective. Which of the following is the correct sequence of electives in decreasing order of final enrollment? In decreasing order. Now, please look at the choices again. If you look at the choices carefully, you have E2, E3, E6, E3, E2, E6, E2, E3. So E2, E3. So if we can, so I just need to find out first of all, finally, which is going to be bigger in this case, E2 or E3. And accordingly, I can then start solving and eliminating choices. Again, I'm not going to do the complete thing, but I will look at eliminating choices. Now, please tell me what is it saying. Which is the program in which students will have to go back to? Which is the program in which the enrollment, which is the elective in which the enrollment came down to less than 20 students? It is E1. It is E1, isn't it? That means all those who left E1 will have to come back to E1. Okay. Now, what is it? Out of these 31 students of E1, 5 went to E2, 10 went to E3, 1 went to E4, and so on and so forth. Okay. So these 5 will reduce from E2 and go back to E1. So what is E1 going to become? Okay. All these E1 people will have to come back. So E1 will be back to 31. Okay. Because these 5 will come back, these 10 will come back, these 9 will come back, these 4 will come back, these 2 will come back. Okay. So that will be 31. But what about the others? These people will also join E1. Na? So what will happen along with these 18? 18 are already there. 18 plus 5 plus 10 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, these will be E1. So these will remain, but people who left E1 will come back. How many left E1? 5 plus 10, 15, 1, 16, 16 and 4, 20, 22. 22 plus 18, 40. So E1 will finally become 40. Okay. What about E2? Out of the 76 students who are finally in E2, these 5 will go back to E1. So E2 will become 71. Similarly, if I look at E3, out of the 79 students who are in E2, E3 finally, 10 will go back to E1. So E3 will become 79 minus 10, 69. Okay. 69. Okay. So E3 has become 69. E2 is 671. So look at the choices. Decreasing order. E2 is greater than E3 is fine. Choice 2 is wrong. E2 greater than E3, E2 greater than E3. Okay, no problems. What about E4? From 21, this one person will go back. So E4 will become 20. E5, out of 45, 4 will go back. And that means we'll be left with 41. And the last one, out of the 61 in E6, 2 will go back to E1. We'll be left with 59. So which is the lowest? E4. E4 should be the lowest. Correct answer, choice 1. Because 40, 71, 69, E4 is 40, E4 is 20, E5 is 41. So the lowest value has to be, the least number of enrollments will be in E4 now, which is 20. So E4 is there in choice 1. Or only choice 1 shows E4 to be the least. So that completes the set for us. So please look at the ease with which we can do the set if we are willing to use the choices. Okay. So जुगाड़ बहुत जरूरी है क्वांट और DILR में. Okay. So this is our timeline. So where are we? We are right now here. Okay. And next Thursday, instead of the session based on popular public demand, we are doing the session for repeaters essentially. क्या CAT लेना चाहिए फिर से कि नहीं? कि yeah, I got maybe you did not get the institute you were looking for. Maybe, but that is still the right choice for you. Maybe you have tried a couple of years and maybe you should not be going ahead again. Or maybe this was a first attempt and maybe you can take another chance. So we look at question like this, whether or not you should retake. This is essentially for repeaters. So all those of you who have taken CAT last year, this is an important session for you. If you are not clear about what to do, this session will hopefully help you clear your mind. Okay? And yes, any doubts, feel free to ask me. And anything, please type it in the chat box. Chodo, anything you want me to take up, anything which you think is important and I should address it, please share it with me. And anything else you want in terms of session, your inputs will be very, very helpful. And yes, अकेले मत रखना अपने पास ही सब, अपने friends के साथ share करो. Sharing is caring, all of you know. Okay? And in case you need to connect with me while these numbers are there, my personal phone number is 9811155160 and my email ID is gp@careerlauncher.com. So in case you need to connect with me for anything, not for anything, sorry, for your preparation related issues. नहीं तो पता चलेगा कि अपनी गर्लफ्रेंड बॉयफ्रेंड का रोना रो लिया मेरे साथ, वो नहीं चाहिए है. Or if there are any issues with respect to your preparation, feel free to connect with me. I am available on WhatsApp and Telegram both. Okay, and yes, finally we have launched DILR 1000, and if you really like the way we work, if you like the style or the way of solving these data sets, then DILR 1000 will be of help to you. It will help you do DILR in a slightly different way. The approach which we have, I believe, is very, very different from others and helps you save time. Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you very much. All the best. See you next week again.